Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Hashtag Dork. My name is Rich Keefe, joined as always by Davey Audio, Davey Eyeballs, aka Rick on Vaughn, Dick on, Rick Rude Vaughn, Dick Dude. All hail the King of Ginger Ale. It's Ryan. Davey, how are you?
I'm good. And the Davey Audio, you've called me Davey Audio several times since in the past couple of weeks, and I feel as though my audio game has improved significantly since
people
the start
don't
of the
forget,
podcast.
Ryan.
People don't forget. I don't forget that I was on a phone for the start of this podcast for a long time.
I got used to it.
You got used to it because I had that good landline phone.
You had a serious night because I talk to people on phones all day long, and most of them are awful. So
right,
it's nice
Mike in the tunnel.
Mike in the tunnel, right?
Mike in the tunnel, yeah.
A nice crystal clear landline, man. That is nice. That is really nice. Ryan, I have two questions for you before we get into This Week in Dork, and then we get into the topic du jour.
Hit me, baby.
All right. One of them was making the rounds on the Twitter today. HBO just posed a question, their Twitter account posed a question: who are the 3 best characters in the history of HBO? And so I tweeted a response from at Dork Podcast, where you can follow us on Twitter. And I didn't put a ton of thought into it, but right off the top of my head, I went Nora Durst, Carrie Coon's character from The Leftovers.
Yep.
Slim Charles, who is basically just my representative from The Wire.
Sure.
He's not necessarily the best, but I like him a lot. And then I put Arya Stark.
Okay, I agree with that.
But then I thought, man, there's so many. Like, if you look at those shows, there's so many other ones. I don't know. Where do you go? Do you have any right off the cuff?
Tony Soprano.
Yep. Sure. What about?
I want to say Nucky Thompson, but like that's the late seasons weren't that good.
No. What about Jason Stackhouse from True Blood?
Sookie. What about Sookie?
Or Bill Compton.
I would say Arya Stark as well. One of the more compelling characters we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Larry David.
Yeah, that's another good one. Kenny Powers.
Kenny Powers is really good. There's a lot of different directions you can go.
What's that? There's Brett and Jermaine from Flight of the Conchords. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that show.
My other question, Ryan, and this
Ari Gold.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Character
show. I know. Good
I
character.
don't really like that show either. Yeah,
Character, hate the show. This one, Ryan, this has much more to do with the topic du jour.
Sure.
What is your favorite element on the periodic table? It can be any element.
I know. I'm trying to think of because there's a Latin tie-in here, and I'm trying to think of something clever to say. It's been a long day.
I have one that I think is probably your favorite.
No, that's not an element. But
boron, no,
not boron. Lead.
I was gonna say tin. I thought you might be a big tin guy.
I'm a big tin guy. No,
big on zinc.
It's a huge zinc. Well, for the sunscreen, put it on the zinc oxide.
Big zinc guy.
Yeah, we are big zinc guys.
I was looking through it earlier because I was trying to see if you could put together R. Von D from the period. No, you can't. There is a V. I don't even know what the hell it is. There's a V, but there's no. Yeah.
Can't do it.
Bad. It's a fun game, right? It's a fun
game. We had. What's yours? So yeah,
we like that fun. I like silver. Put me down for silver.
Sure.
Ryan, you ready for the news of the week?
I guess.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, here's the first thing, Ryan, and I know you're excited about this. I know that you are because you kept calling me all night to say, "Did you watch? Did you watch?"
I called you several times.
I said enough.
You didn't answer. I was worried.
I had to block you. I had to block the numbers. What happened?
I'm sorry that I care.
Jurassic World Battle at Big Rock is a short. It's like an 8-minute short.
Yep.
That they tweeted out. They also posted it to YouTube. Kind of came out of nowhere and just like a cool little Jurassic World, like post Jurassic World scene. And I thought it was great. There was some sweet dino action to be had. There was like a family element, I guess, to it.
Sure.
Did you watch? Did you even watch it?
Nope.
You fuck. Come on. This was good.
I gotta die on some hill. It's gonna be this one.
Ryan, you like story though.
I do. I'm a big story guy.
How
much story can you have in 8 minutes?
Honestly, maybe too much story.
The answer is some.
I wanted more dino action.
I'm sure you did. That's the thing about you dino people is you always want more. There's no satisfying you.
You a Triceratops guy? little bit.
Yeah, I
bet
do
you're
like the Triceratops guy more than
Give
that
it a-
Stegosaurus. I think that Stegosaurus is a real prick. No
Oh,
pun
for sure.
intended.
For sure. Give it a watch, Ryan. I think you're gonna really like it.
Is there a Triceratops? Is there sweet Triceratops action in there?
I don't want to spoil it too much for the people
Let
at
me
home.
guess. There's a raptor in there, right? Or some like
No.
hybrid dinosaur that mixes it up.
There's a big bitch. There's a big bastard in there.
Sure.
But right, next time you're on the can, so just pop on Jurassic World Battle at Big Rock.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Did you see that James Gunn, to your head, shotgun to your dick, released his cast for the Suicide Squad?
And what a cast!
It's just a million people.
I dare say it is an ensemble.
It's a little bit,
isn't it?
It's like one of those rom-coms.
Yeah,
pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
It's macabre, but if you have a big cast, it's an ensemble.
Well, I think it is.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's like
Heavy hitters in there. Taika's in there.
Taika Waititi. But what's weird is Suicide Squad came out a few years ago. Was not the best feature film.
Not great. Nope.
But they're bringing back most of that cast. Like Margot Robbie's back, Jai Courtney's back, the dude who played Rick Flag is back, Amanda Waller, Viola Davis is back. You also get John Cena. He's gonna be playing Peacemaker. Nathan Fillion is in it. Your guy Pete Davidson.
It's my guy. Butthole Eyes is my guy.
You can have him.
All right.
You can have him. Yeah, he's not for me.
No.
Not for me. Did you see there was a Birds of Prey poster? Speaking of the DC,
yeah, and it was just like a huge Harley Quinn face, but like in like little tiny. So we know where this movie's going. It's like little tiny people and like a huge Harley Quinn face.
Because the official title of the film is Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
Fantabulous, not a word.
Nah, they're gonna throw it in there.
It's not a word. Yeah,
they're gonna throw it in there.
Yeah,
but you have Harley Quinn. You have Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who, as you know, I love
her. Friend of the pod.
Fantastic. She's playing Huntress.
Yeah.
So that's a good one.
Great casting.
Playing Black Canary in this is Journey Smollett Bell, who you would remember, Ryan, from Friday Night Lights. She was the one who was Jess Merriweather.
Yep.
Who was like the coach, wanted to be the coach, and was like with Vince kind of. Did you know
Dad owned the barbecue place, the barbecue joint?
Yeah. She also she was in a bunch of episodes of True Blood. She was in a bunch of stuff. Did you know, and you could probably tell by her last name, she's the sister of
the younger sister of
Juicy Smollett. Juicy Smollett, according to Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
So
Juicy Smollett.
That had to be rough stuff.
Yeah.
But Ewan McGregor's playing Black Mask in this.
Which is great. I mean, great casting.
That could be pretty cool.
So speaking of Batman news, and I don't want to shoot our wad right now, but the Robert Pattinson Batman is based on. Remember, I tweeted this out to you. I thought you were going to pass out. I was worried about you all week.
Oof, this was
based on the Long Halloween.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're just talking about the suit or the story.
If it's the story, I don't think they can do it in one movie.
You can't do it in one movie, so maybe they're setting that up. But
that would be
because it's a whole year, right?
Yeah, and if I've said it once, I've said it a million times, Ryan. That would be the perfect Netflix series, and each month is an episode, and it can be anywhere from a half hour to an hour, and then that would actually be worth.
That's the way to do it. But I remember they're just talking about the suit with like the super long pointy ears, if I remember.
Maybe
he had like suit. Yeah, it's a good suit.
And same with like the cat. I don't know if Catwoman's going to be in it or not, but she's a really good suit.
She has to be. No, they're already they were talking about it. There was
who's playing Catwoman?
So they were talking about it. Like they had some, like Vanessa Hudgens was rumored for a while.
Oh, I don't hate that.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate that. I hear that and I don't hate it.
Yeah. So that was she. I like the dark-haired Selena Kyle. You know what I mean? Like I like the little bit dangerous.
Okay. Hey, now.
You know what I mean? I think Anne Hathaway, as good as she was a little squeaky clean for me.
Too clean.
You know,
you gotta be kind of nasty.
Yeah, you gotta be nasty. You gotta have a little bit of trailer in you, huh? A little bit of street tough.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, so
yep. You gotta drink milk from a saucer.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Ryan, there's another Watchmen trailer. Where do you stand on Watchmen right now? Is this going to be great, awesome, terrible, average? What's going on?
It's going to be good. I think what the more that we saw, it looks very HBO. And Lindelof being behind it, I think helps it a little bit, but that's burned you before. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful.
You're hopeful. All right.
Mhm.
There was also a trailer for a Netflix show coming out called Living with Yourself, where Paul Rudd will play multiple roles.
Multiple Paul Rudds.
I
Yeah.
think everybody's going to at least like it.
What's better than one Paul Rudd?
Probably two.
Several.
Probably two Paul Rudds.
Yeah.
Also on the Netflix, Big Mouth Season 3 just had a trailer. We tweeted that bad boy out at Dork Podcast as well. That show's just great.
It's just a great show. And in like the trailer, like it picked up like right where it left off, like with Jesse and like do the thing. I thought that was like super.
Oh my God.
I thought that was super funny.
It's going to be ridiculous. Like
it's going to be ridiculous.
Clearly the show's not for everyone, but for those that like it, or actually, I don't think anybody likes it. I think everybody either you love it or you don't watch it,
or you love it or you don't watch it, or like you don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's it. Those are the three things.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, that's the way the news goes. If you want to get to your news,
yeah, let's do it.
All right. What do you have?
Well, we get a lot to talk about this week, Richard, and I hope it doesn't take away from the topic, whatever you call it.
I call it the topic du jour, but we'll get to it.
Well, let's start with the good stuff. So, new Zelda this week, Link's Awakening has been rebooted. It's on the Switch now. So, if people love that game, they played it. It's great. Whatever. Borderlands. I've been playing a lot of Borderlands 3. It's awesome. It's kind of anything that you've had issues with Borderlands before. They've kind of fixed it. So I'm really, really enjoying it. But the game, as I said on Twitter before the game, I finally got my hands on a VR headset, and I thought it was going to make me incredibly motion sick. But I'm here to tell you, Beat Saber, and I know I'm super late to this, and this game has been out for like 2 years now. And I don't say this a lot on the podcast, Richard.
No, you don't.
The most fun you can have with your clothes on.
Come on.
Beat Saber.
Really?
Did you like Guitar Hero?
I did.
Do you like Star Wars?
Brian, you know that I like Star Wars.
Have you always wanted to swing a lightsaber?
Yeah, of course I have.
This game is for you.
All right. I am surprised because I was with you at Dave and B's when you were on the
that was
VR.
more a ride. If I'm standing still, I'm fine.
I think you were quite sick after that experience.
You were too.
I wasn't
put it all
great.
on me. You weren't feeling great.
I wasn't feeling great.
It could have been those like super sugary drinks they made us too.
We also had very sugary drinks.
We did.
Tough combination.
So that might have been it. Yeah.
All right, but I should probably play this then.
But yeah, I'll bring it over. What time? We'll have fun with it. And the other thing too, very frustrating to me, NHL 20 comes out. I don't know how here's my problem with NHL games. There are nuances to hockey that they just can't get quite right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like if you watch a baseball game, like them closing the glove, like it never looks right, or the ball in the glove, like never looks right. There's certain stuff in hockey, like no hockey player would ever just keep skating forward as a puck was behind them. Like they would like adjust their body and like catch a pass. You know what I mean? And there's like, you wouldn't stick your stick directly in someone's feet to trip them. You know, like the poke check is like always broken in these games. You're always tripping people. It's annoying. The game, so they did some cool stuff with the shooting. So that's cool. But other than that, and some really good news, Richard. And speaking of being late to the party, this Friday, so the 19th, not to timestamp this, no, Thursday.
What?
The 19th is Thursday.
What day is today?
Today's Tuesday. So the Sega Genesis Mini is coming out. It has 40 games. Oh, wait. All of them you want to play. Do you want me to give you a list of just some heavy hitters here?
Of course.
You give me yes or no if you would play it right today.
Okay.
Echo the Dolphin.
No.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
The first one?
Yep.
No.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yes.
Altered Beast.
No.
Streets of Rage.
Yes.
Earthworm Jim.
Yes.
Golden Axe.
No.
You liar. Street Fighter 2, Special Championship Edition.
Yes.
Virtua Fighter 2.
Actually, yes.
Kid Chameleon.
No.
Road Rash 2.
Yes. Actually, I played that recently. Yeah.
Eternal Champions.
Of course I would. I would be Larson.
Toe Jam and Earl.
Yes.
All included in the Sega Genesis Mini.
Pretty good.
So that's a good, and there's 40 games. Those are just the heavy hitters. The issue that people are having, though,
is Mortal Kombat in there?
No Mortal Kombat. But they're only giving you a 3-button controller instead of the 6.
Okay.
So people are like, Street Fighter is like unplayable.
Yeah, that's tough.
You needed that extra row.
Yeah, that's tough.
'Cause
And the other
remember
problem is there's no
Yeah.
NHL 94 or 95,
No,
right?
which
Yeah,
there are no as far as I can tell, there's
no sports.
no sports games, but
Because
they
that's
have
what would
both.
separate it. Like if you had NBA Jam and NHL, then
Yeah.
like you're like, now we're playing.
Well, they got Contra Hardcore. They have
Okay.
Ghouls and Ghosts, Vector Man.
Ghouls and ghosts. What's the
Oh, and
difference between a ghoul and a ghost?
I don't know. But I think one of them, like
It's
the bones
spookier.
are their dollars.
Well, one of them, the worms are their money.
Right. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to ask somebody else.
He said play something spooky. No, we didn't.
No, we didn't. And then we're gonna end. I was gonna save this for my pick of the pod, Richard, but we're gonna end on a bit of a somber tone.
Jesus Christ. We have a whole episode to go.
I got a whole episode to go. So I'm just gonna come out and say it, Richard. The Arvon D Twitch stream is dead.
What the fuck? Why? Why is it dead?
It's because there's just not enough hours in the day, Richard. In order to be a viable, successful stream, you need to do it on a regular schedule for like at least 3 hours at a clip.
Ryan, you have just disappointed fives of people.
And like I want to say thank you to those people out, like Joe Gloucester, Backcracker, Dr. Joe, like all those guys who like Ray Bones, everyone who's come out and watched me like throughout the. I just can't do it anymore.
Well, it's official.
I just can't.
Today is the worst day of my life.
Today's the worst day of your life that you can't sometimes watch me stream.
Correct.
Yeah, that's it. I know it's bad, but like you,
leave it on in the bathroom or leave it on while I go do other things.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore.
Like turn it on and then like walk away from it.
Yeah.
So it's I can't do it at the level I want to do it, so it's time to hang it up. But on a personal level, Richard,
I wish I was dead.
Streaming becomes less fun the more you do it. As you know, video games have always been kind of like a safe space for me, something I can kind of do like meditatively and like.
I didn't know you were going to retire. This could have been a whole episode.
Well, I wanted a real reaction out of you, which I'm getting.
Well,
right now. I feel very disappointed for both people.
I feel nauseous.
Don't feel nauseous. It's fine. But like, think of I when someone asks me what it's like to stream a lot, I tell them like, picture yourself doing something that you find very relaxing. Rich is dry heaving at me right now. Picture something you find yourself doing that's very relaxing.
I can
think of like a yoga class.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, that's what I was
now.
thinking
Picture yourself doing yoga.
Yeah,
or the thing you were thinking of.
I'm right there again.
And the whole time you're trying to relax, people are asking you questions.
That's the whole point of streaming.
People are watching you do. I know. It's not the whole point. It's just not for me.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you signed up to do twitch.tv/ArvonD, what did you think it was going to be?
I thought it was going to be a way for me and a way for me
make
to
millions of dollars.
No, to be never have to work again. No. I thought it was a fun way to interact with people that I wouldn't normally do. And I found that it's just not working. I got a job. I got a wife. I got 2 kids.
Allow me a volley here.
Yeah.
It's not working.
You're right. You're right. So point taken.
I feel like you brought some people together. I thought that it was a time where we could join in.
Yeah.
And complain about things.
Yeah.
We could watch you struggle with Super Meat Boy. You
can see me get very cross.
No, that's Super Meat Boy. Cuphead.
Oh, Cuphead. Fuck Cuphead.
So you get very frustrated playing Cuphead once.
It's hard. It's too hard.
Yeah, but how about this? We'll still leave the door open because on our YouTube channel, we can live stream video games like whenever we want, like randomly.
Oh yeah, ghetto streams. We can. The door's not shut.
Yeah.
The door's not locked. It's shut and unlocked.
I'm telling you, this really knocked me on my ass tonight.
Well, let's get into something you want to talk about, Richard, because I feel like we've done this. So let's do this.
Feline AIDS is the topic today.
Is the topic du jour.
It might as well be.
Would it make you feel better if we talk about Jessica Jones?
Actually, yes.
Okay, let's do that. Let's get into it.
Season 3, Jessica. Actually, this is the closest we've been to Jessica Jones.
We're in it. We're in that area.
We're basically doing it.
We're in the ballpark.
Let me ask you a simple question after hearing that kind of news, which I'm sure I'm not even really comprehending. I may have to have a reaction video at some point about the news of the day. Really, the biggest news of the day.
Pick of the pod.
Do you have it? Pick of the pod, Davey's Twitch stream.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a very simple question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for the topic du jour?
No, I think I'm going to hang it up.
Nope.
For the topic du jour too.
You're quitting the topic du jour.
I'm quitting the topic du jour. Bring me in for the beginning and the end. That's it.
You do Video Game Minute, they just hang out.
You just hang out until the end. Yeah.
Ryan, I'm glad you asked. It's the topic of the day, and today it is Breaking Bad Season 2.
Yep.
I believe it is episode 75. You can check the archives. Episode 75, that is our Breaking Bad Season 1 episode. And so this is season 2. We're finally getting back to it. And the reason is that El Camino movie is coming up.
Yep.
Right. So we're going to go right up until that. And that's going to be on Netflix. So this is 13 episodes on AMC. Out in, I think, 2009 is when it originated. And now it is on Netflix where you can watch it. Let's start spoiler free, Ryan. And I'm actually going to go shut off this dehumidifier. So let me first ask you, and you talk. I'll be right back. Yep. Let me ask you this, Ryan. Did you like it?
Let me tell you this. Now I'm going to go because I'm going to keep talking until Rich pops back into frame. This is a complex question because I don't think in all of the pantheon of things that we have talked about on DORK podcast that there have been many things that I like more than this.
Right.
There is nothing I like more than Breaking Bad.
I think that's true because I actually went back. I don't normally listen to our episodes back, but I wanted to listen to season 1 just to sort of, rather than me rewatch season 1, I listened to our episode on season 1 to sort of like catch up. And there's definitely a passion there. There's a vigor.
Let me tell you this.
About Breaking Bad.
I will tell you this. There are so many shows. Are you all right? You witnessed running?
Yeah, I sprinted in the other room to shut that.
You didn't go that far. We need to get you on an elliptical or something. You didn't go that far.
I did not go far at all.
You like Walter White?
But I did go quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm quicker than I am fast.
There are many shows that have a down year that as the show goes gets kind of muddy. Not only did this show end at the perfect time, it got better every single year, every single episode. And I don't think that's ever been done.
I don't think it has either. Because again,
you can't name a show that's as consistently good as this one. Don't say The Wire because you ignore an entire season of that show.
I personally do not ignore a whole season. I think The Wire is the only show that's better. I don't think it goes in order though. The Wire, like The Wire to me probably would go 3, 4, 1, 2, 5, like for best to worst. It's hard to compare to sitcoms, obviously, but Seinfeld is another show that does not really have a bad episode. I mean, they might have like a handful of bad episodes, but they have more episodes than this. And also, again, it's really apples to oranges.
And like I said, I don't think there's a single bad episode of this show.
I think you're right. I mean, there certainly isn't this season. I just rewatched the whole thing prior to doing this episode.
These are awesome.
And they're smart too. And like, unlike a lot of these, network shows, you had, I think, 7 episodes season 1, and then it's 13, 13, 13, 16 to end it. So there's 62 total episodes. There's no filler. And a lot of times you'll get on shows just a storyline that I don't even think the writers know where it's going or something, or they never end up paying it off. Whereas Breaking Bad is just the whole thing is good, and like every character that they bring in is important. Like there's something for them to do.
Yes.
And so we really don't need to do spoilers. I was going to do non-spoilers, but like this show's not for so long. We're just going to dive into it because I think the best way to do it, and this can, whether you've rewatched all these on Netflix or you just want sort of a trip through memory lane as we get you up until the movie. Let's just go episode by episode and talk about some of the stuff that.
Well, before we get into spoilers, I'm just going to say to the people, I'm going to say it super close to the microphone.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing if you haven't watched this show?
Yeah.
What are you doing? This is one of those shows I would be upset with someone if they've told me they've never seen it.
Yeah, this is one of those. This is one of the few ones, really.
And not only that, you have no excuse.
You don't have any excuses anymore.
It's on Netflix. Like, everyone has Netflix.
Now, Ryan,
no excuse.
Now, somebody might say, and they'd be smart to say this about most things. You can't watch everything.
This is something I think
you have to watch.
You have to like. If you're listening to this podcast and you haven't seen this show, like, what are you doing?
Yeah, why wouldn't you watch it? I guess would be a good question.
Why wouldn't you? And I don't think anybody, if they haven't, could give me a good reason.
No. And it's really not that daunting. I mean, once you start binge watching a show, like 62 episodes, it's not like it's 110.
No.
And they were all on AMC, so each episode is really like 47 minutes now.
42 to 47
minutes.
Yeah. Except for the last one. I think the last one's a little bit longer.
I think, and like the pilot and the finale might be like an hour, but whatever. Like that's, you should be able to give this a go. All right, let's just dive in here. So season 1 sort of establishes Walter White and sort of sets up what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You get the cancer diagnosis, him deciding to make meth, the partnership with Jesse. So they're starting to pick up steam a little bit, but they certainly aren't pros by any stretch.
No, not even
Walt even says this later on in this season. It's 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And that's always the case with them. Like just when you think they have a little bit of a breakthrough, something really happens. Either they lose all their money, they lose all their product, something happens.
Yep.
So let's start right away. Episode 1 called 737. And basically you're finding out Walt is doing the numbers in his head. And he's like, how much money do I need? Like for my kids. So right now he has almost a 16-year-old son. And then his wife at the time of the season opens up is 7 months pregnant. And he's crunching the numbers. He's adding inflation. He's saying, how much money do I need for colleges? But all the while, and this is one of the big themes early the first few seasons, is Walt can't tell anybody. Like his family doesn't know, obviously. Like he's not comfortable telling Skylar because Skylar is mad at Marie for shoplifting. Like she would get mad at the smallest offense, let alone what Walt's doing. And you can tell that's like a growing frustration for Walt because he's actually paying for his cancer treatments, which he's not telling people. And he's trying to find a way to make money, and yet he can't share what he's doing. So I think that's driving him just as nuts as anything.
Well, yeah, and I think having to play second at this point, like he knows how to do the cook for the meth, but like Jesse's kind of telling him what to do. So he's getting his shots called by some like kid who failed his chemistry class. You know what I mean? So that's like,
yeah.
And I don't think that's a struggle for him too. But like even in this first episode, like the things that like the 730, like the gun Jesse buys, and the ricin exist throughout the rest of the show.
Oh yeah, it sets you up. This is actually the episode where Walt introduces the ricin and what they can do, and because they're still dealing with Tuco at this point, which we got at the end of season 1, and now you have Tuco, who's as nuts as anything. He actually kills the guy right in front of Walt and Jesse when they're meeting.
Yeah, because he said something to them, and he wasn't supposed to. Like talked out of turn.
He did.
And what was the guy's name? It was
he said something to Walt and Jesse, like, you better listen to them. And then Tuco turns to him. He's like, what are you saying, that they're stupid? Or he's like, or they're not going to listen to me? Or like, what are you saying? And the guy's like, no. I'm just, he's like trying to be tough. And then Tuco just started beating the shit out of him.
Killed him. Yeah.
And then he died and he was mad. And then he tried making those guys like revive him. And then he got mad at them. So clearly like, Tuco at this point is such a loose cannon, like obviously.
Bit of a live wire, that Tuco.
But also what you got in this episode, and there was definitely like some sex scenes in the first season with Walt and Skylar. Yeah. Remember there was the one in the car, there was the one at like the PTA meeting, there was like his birthday, there was some stuff. And a lot of times it's after he kind of breaks the law.
Yes.
That like he's feeling like a little bit of like reinvigorated or whatever.
He's got some lead in the pencil.
He does. He's a little fired up. He had a Mountain Dew kickstart, and he's ready to get going.
He's ready to go. You're supposed to have those in the morning. He had them in the afternoon. So
But this one was not pretty. This was
this is the one she like stops him, right?
He like almost raped her in the kitchen.
Yeah, and she's like, stop. She's like, what are you doing?
She was like, no, and then he kept going. She's like, okay, stop, but like seriously, stop. And then she'd like yell at him because he was just like thrusting her into. He
was like almost crying.
Yeah, she had like a mask on, like one of those like like goopy masks, and he like pushed her face into the fridge.
Yeah,
and you're like, Jesus Christ.
I didn't care for it. I did not care for it. No. And
then also this episode ends with Tuco. He basically finds Jesse, and then he makes Jesse go pick up Walt because now Tuco's starting to lose his mind because obviously he just killed his one guy.
Right.
The other guy, you find out later on, I think in the next episode, that the other big dude is dead, right? And he ended up killing himself because he was trying to move the body. But now Tuco's freaking out because he doesn't know if there's an informant. He doesn't know what's going on.
Right.
So he goes and basically gets Jesse and Walt. And that's how that episode ends.
Correct me if I'm wrong, too. Is this the one where the very first time they steal the methylamine?
No, that was season 1.
Okay.
They stole the methylamine in season 1. So they have all the methylamine right now.
Okay. All right.
They have all the methylamine. And so now Tuco in Jesse's car is making them drive somewhere.
Yes.
And so he's got both of them. And Walt was just in an argument with Skylar, and he comes outside because he sees it. And first of all, he just thinks it's Jesse. And he's like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
And Tuco's in the back seat, and so now they go.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this point, Walt is missing. So now you get into episode 2 entitled Grilled. Walt's missing. The family's freaking out. They put signs up. By the way, he's 5'11", 165. And I understand he has cancer, and they say he lost 5 pounds. So either way, so 5'11", 170, that's a tiny little dude.
He's a wisp of a guy.
That was like me in high school.
He's taller than me, but not.
No.
Yeah.
This is also the first episode, Ryan, as Tuco has both of those guys, where we get Hector Salamanca. Tio, who's ringing his bell.
And I'm surprised. Like, I know that guy didn't say anything, but like the facial expressions that guy has, like the entire show is incredible.
Well, it's also, if you guys watch Better Call Saul, seeing him in Better Call Saul when he's not the way that he is now was also pretty cool.
It was awesome.
But I remember the first time seeing him, and I don't think I watched season 2 live. I want to say I watched 1 and 2 on DVD or whatever, and then picked it up season 3 of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
I think is how it happened. But the first time I saw Hector Salamanca, I was like, what a great idea for a character. Like a guy that's obviously seen some stuff. He's involved in all kinds of stuff. Can't talk, but he can ring his bell, and like he knows what's going on.
Right.
He sees Jesse and Walt, and he knows what's happening there, and he just keeps ringing his bell. Pretty crazy. And so anyway, these guys have they have like poison meth, because they had decided that the best way to kill Tuco is to like poison him, because he's always like testing the meth and everything like that. So they bring it out. They have a bag, because they're out in the middle of nowhere, and it's just the 4 of them. It's just Hector, Tuco, Walt, and Jesse. And Tuco's about to take the poison meth, and Jesse is like explaining to him about how it's the new batch, and he says that there's a secret ingredient in it, and he says it's chili powder.
Yeah,
remember that's how he used to make his meth that way?
Chili pea, yeah.
And then Tuco goes, "Oh, I hate chili powder," and then doesn't take it. And then Walt's like so pissed.
Yep.
This is one of the few times that Walt actually saves Jesse, because Tuco's about to kill, because he knows that Walt's like the main guy that cooks, and he was going to take him and bring him to Mexico and have him cook, and he was about to kill Jesse, and Walt stuck up for him and said, like, I need him or whatever.
Yes.
Which is not that common of occurrence.
But I think this is still the moment where like it's true. I think it's true that like Walt needs Jesse. It's in the later seasons that he won't admit it. He won't admit the fact that like he needs Jesse to help him, and he needs Jesse to like it's like his whipping boy.
Later on this season, somebody asks him about Jesse, and he says because he does what I tell him to do.
Yeah,
like that's why he likes him. But he does say, and maybe he just thinks he has a better chance of surviving if he's there, because clearly he's one of the most selfish characters in the history of show.
Oh my god, yeah. But the other thing too is like it's not just him.
No,
like I don't get all the blame because I have this kid too.
Yeah, right. No, that's true. That's true. But the scene though, again with Hector, and because Tuco's asking him questions and he's just ringing the bell, like it's pretty tense. Anyway, they get out. It spills outside. Jesse actually shoots Tuco, but doesn't kill him. So he shoots him in the chest, because you're like, well, wait a minute, like we've seen Walt kill guys so far in this series. We have not seen Jesse kill anybody.
Yeah.
And so Jesse shoots him, but then Hank shows up. He sees Tuco, and he's the one that kills Tuco at the end of season or episode 2.
And because he finds Jesse's car.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Jesse and Walt are able to get away. He shoots Tuco, and that's sort of that. Episode 3 is entitled Bit by a Dead Bee. And so now this is Walt's, so Walt's now been missing for a few days.
Yeah.
And so he needs to figure out, how can I spin this where I wasn't abducted by like a guy in the cartel? So he does the old naked guy in the high-low market and just pretends like he was like unconscious for a while.
And if there was a bad storyline in the show, there isn't. This is as close as they get to it. The fugue state. This is as close as is as close as they get to it.
What could he have done better than this, though?
That's the thing. I mean, that's why it's not bad. Is because like, what do you do? Like you're up against the wall. You have to make up the most ridiculous thing you could think of.
Yeah. Right. Because you can't just take off. Right. Because I mean, the one thing you could do is you could be like, I was just so stressing out about whatever, and I just left. But even then, it's like your family's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like you couldn't tell me.
Yeah, right.
And then your family's upset about it.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, because as I was watching, I'm like, well, what else? What else could you do? This ended up having a little bit more side effects than he wanted, because they're like now the doctor's trying to figure it out. He had to stay in the hospital longer than he wanted to, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I was like,
And he was
yeah,
there for he was gone for like days, right?
yeah, he was gone for days,
Yeah.
and then he was just standing there completely naked in the high-low market. And it was funny because
That's how you sell it.
Skylar was saying to Marie, Skylar was like, "Oh, he was naked in like a convenience store," and Marie goes, "It wasn't Whole Foods, was it?" Like, I don't know why that matters, but that's pretty good.
Because you don't want to embarrass yourself in front of whole. I mean,
No, you can't.
as well as anybody. You
I
don't want to
sure do.
embarrass
Yeah,
yourself.
you can't be doing that.
No.
So this is also so they both get back, and Jesse cleans out his basement with Badger. So he does all that. There's tests in the hospital for Walter, and so he has to stay, which I don't think he really anticipated that part of it. Because
that's
they're
just like
trying
when
to
you
figure
tell
out
your
why.
mom you're sick and you end up having to go to the hospital.
Yeah. So that's his sort of alibi. Jesse, meanwhile, he knows they're going to be on to him, so he goes to the hotel with the prostitute Wendy.
Yep.
And then so he has a whole plan, and she's on his side, thankfully. But he was like, "Oh, I was just partying for 3 days in like a motel," which they're not really buying. But so he ends up having to go in there with Hank, and then but he's able to get out. And what was crazy too is a great scene was they find Hector Salamanca and they bring him into the interrogation.
Yeah.
And Jesse's freaking out because he's ringing the bell, and it's funny because they start out with something like Jesse's like, "Oh, he doesn't even know like what planet he's on." And then they ask him, they're like, "Are you on Mars?" Doesn't ring it. "Are you on like Saturn?" Doesn't ring it. "Are you on Earth?" Ding. And so like, pretty good enough for me. But then they ask Hector, they're like, "Was this guy at your place or whatever?" Doesn't ring it.
Doesn't ring it.
He's not a rat.
He's not a rat. And they said that these guys will not talk to a DEA agent. They won't say a word.
And then he shit in his chair.
Which is like, because you see him like starting to get up and you're like, oh my God, he's going to do something. He's going to do something. And then he just craps his shorts right in front of the DEA.
Looks right at him. Yeah.
Right at him.
Shits in his chair. And just is like, come get some.
Clean it up.
That's a badass scene, though.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. If you want to get out of a DEA interrogation,
shit in your pants. And don't ring your bell.
Don't ring your bell.
And shit in your pants. Jesse also tells Walt in this episode that he's out 68 grand because they took his money.
Yeah.
Right. So like they're splitting their money all the time. But this time Jesse loses his and Walt doesn't care and basically only asks if his name was
that's your
up.
problem. Yeah.
Right.
That's your problem. Like, yeah. By the way, real wet shit from Hector Salamanca too.
It was not solid at all.
No.
It was like he threw up out of his butt. Is what we're dealing with.
Sure was, Rich.
He made a face like there could have been more coming. Or no, he made such a face like he did not have to shit.
No,
but he made sure that he did.
He was like waiting to be pushed, to be wheeled in. Like he'd been holding that in. Like he had some like
I go the other way. I think he probably just actually took like a normal poop and then he comes in here and he's like, I gotta do this to prove a point. He didn't have to go.
No, but he had been eating some meats that it might have been turned. It might have been because his tummy was not where it should have been.
The last thing he ate was probably that actually no, he didn't eat. Remember, because Tuco made all those guys burritos and then he tossed his on the floor because it was poisoned.
Yeah.
Remember they put the poison in Tuco's and then he rang his bell and then they switched and then he tossed it. So they almost killed Tuco that way too, but didn't happen. Episode 4 is entitled Down. And also in some of these episodes, you're getting like these flash forwards with stuff like a stuffed animal in the pool, guys cleaning stuff, body bags. So you don't really know what's going on,
but you know something's going to happen. Yeah.
Something's amiss and you'll probably get a payoff. Walt ends up giving Jesse. So remember Jesse said he was out 68 grand.
Mm-hmm.
Walt gives Jesse $600.
Yes. $600.
Walt tries to explain having a second cell phone to Skylar.
Never good.
Who's not dealing with that nonsense.
Never good. You don't want to have your burner around your significant other. Yeah.
No. So Jesse this whole time had been living at his aunt's house, who he had been with up until she died from cancer. Yes. And Jesse's parents
apparently left him the house.
Right.
Yeah.
But the parents say not so much. So Jesse's parents kick him out of said house.
Which is, we're going to get to this, but one of the most baller moves of this season happens because of that house. And the very first time I actually liked Jesse.
Okay.
Because Jesse's kind of annoying until this point, because he's kind of like a fuck up until this happens.
Okay. All right, we'll get
until
to
the
that.
introduction of another character, which, you know.
Mm-hmm. So you know who is so also, and this is the episode where Walt Jr. starts referring to himself as Flynn.
Flynn, yes.
He's not Flynn.
He's a different person,
yeah,
but still needs his breakfast.
And so
still wants to know where the fuck breakfast is.
Gotta have his breakfast. Always complains. It's not the right cereal. It's not the right bacon. It's not
turkey
the right
bacon.
He's always pissed off about stuff. And so his friend, they reference his friend Lewis all the time.
Yeah.
Lewis is in 3 total episodes.
Yeah, but they're always talking about Lewis.
And so this Lewis, I think it might even be 2 different actors, but this Lewis that shows up at the door.
Yeah.
You might remember him, Ryan.
Yeah.
From the movie Get Out, where he plays Allison Williams' brother.
Shut up. That's him?
He's also in 3 Billboards outside of whatever. That's him. And you'll never forget this. He's in Friday Night Lights. He's the drummer of Clemens' band Crucifixorious.
Come on.
That's the same actor. Yeah.
Fucking Lewis.
Lewis is, and he's in this for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But so anyway, Flynn's there.
But he's a character we talk about. You know, here we are.
Yeah.
You know, how many years later talking about fucking Lewis?
Because that's always the way to write off like a scene where they didn't want Walt Jr. at the house. They're like, oh, he's at Lewis's. That's like what it was.
Yeah. Where you been? Yeah.
And so that kid's had a very successful career. Mm-hmm. This is the one where we get driving lessons with Walt and Walt Jr.
And he's using both feet. Something I did in my first time driving. I tried to use both feet. Yeah.
I feel like that's dangerous.
It's super dangerous, but that's how I played. That's how I played NASCAR, the arcade NASCAR USA. That's how I played that with 2 feet.
I mean, I don't think that's probably the worst. I feel like driving out in the open roads probably not.
Oh, I didn't know any better. How the fuck? I was 15 years old.
This is also, so Jesse's RV was with Clovis, who was Badger's cousin.
Yep.
And so he takes back the RV. So that's a pretty good scene.
But he also falls through the ceiling of a porta-john. A portalet, right? And isn't he all like blue when he gets in there?
Yes, he does. He goes diving through that, falls through. It's a mess. Walt and Skylar fight again because she knows he's lying about something.
Oh, sure.
But then right after that, Walt takes it out on Jesse because Jesse shows up outside the house with the RV. And
yes.
This is an interesting scene because Walt, he's clearly mad at Skylar, but he's freaking out at Jesse. And then Jesse actually attacks him and like takes him down, like physically like takes him down.
Which he should.
But then because Skylar took off, so the house was empty. So then Walt brings him in and gives him half the money and makes him breakfast.
There you go. He's looking for some sense of normalcy.
He does a little bit of that.
You know?
Also, we find out this episode that Skylar smokes while she's pregnant.
And
not good.
It's awesome because like this is when you start to see the cracks with Walt because he actually starts giving her shit because she's smoking.
Yeah.
Like he's so offended that she's smoking.
Yeah. Not great.
She is pregnant, so you shouldn't be doing that.
You should not be doing that. I've read that on the back of packs.
Oh, yeah. But at the same time, like...
Come on, dude.
Who are you to be telling anybody what's right and what's wrong? Because you clearly have no clue. Yeah.
All right. Episode 5 is entitled Breakage. Hank gets promoted, of course, after killing Tuco and all that stuff.
And they give him the grill in the acrylic thing, which is actually pretty badass.
They give him Tuco's grill as a nice little keepsake, a little paperweight, little action.
Yep.
But here we go around the debut of Jessica Jones.
Here we go.
Jane, a.k.a. Jessica Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse's trying to convince her to let him rent. He says this was, when you watch this multiple times now, when he first meets her and he's trying to convince her because she's like, you need to fill out all this paperwork. And he's like, obviously I can't. He's like, I can pay you cash. And so that's obviously kind of a red flag. But he says to Jane, if you let me rent this place, quote, you won't regret this.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet she does. You get the first look at Schrader Brow, which is Hank's beer that he makes. Not bad.
Not bad.
Walt and Jesse start cooking again. Jesse has he's got a plan now because again, they still don't know how to move the product very well. Right. And so they bring back Skinny Pete, Combo, and Badger.
Love them.
And it's actually funny because he invites them all over to the house and there's no furniture in the house. And Jesse's like, oh, I'm gonna put like a sick flat screen up here.
Sick plasma.
Then they get into a whole debate about plasma and LCD, and he's like, "Well, the plasma it leaves
burns.
like, it burns in there."
Yep.
Like, yeah, but it's the darker blacks. It's like a sharper picture.
Which is a conversation I've probably had with somebody in my life.
Of course, I had that before I bought my first.
You don't want plasma.
I actually got a plasma. Depends on what room of the house it's in, my dude.
Depends on what. If it's a dark room, you want the plasma.
I do.
If it's a well lit room, you want the LCD.
There you go. It'd be as simple as that. You find out this episode too, just how pissed Skylar is about Marie shoplifting. Skinny Pete is robbed by a couple of meth heads in this episode.
Yeah, some lookers, huh?
And then Walt is really pissed because he realizes that people could just be walking all over their guys. So he gives Jesse a gun and tells him to quote handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, Ryan, how would you take that?
You're gonna need to go and kill somebody. Build up some street cred.
Right. That's what you would think. Episode 6 is entitled Peekaboo.
One of the more depressing episodes.
Yeah. This one is pretty depressing. This is also and it opens up again at the end of episode 5. Jesse has the gun. He's told to handle it. This episode opens up with a cricket or whatever kind of bug crawling on Jesse's foot. And he won't even step on it.
Yeah.
And then Skinny Pete comes over and stomps on it. You know what I mean? It's just like kind of further proof that like Jesse is not
a good pickup. I didn't even notice that before. Yeah. Good job.
Thank you.
For you. Yeah.
Yep. And then he's making fun of Skinny Pete because he got jacked by a guy named Spooge.
Yes.
The guy's name is Spooge.
Spooge.
So this is what you're saying, Davey. So Jesse ends up going to the meth head's house. And there's nobody home at first except for a dirty little poor kid.
Yeah.
That's awful.
It's terrible.
Just awful.
He's dirty. Doesn't talk.
The house is disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
It gets one channel. It's just infomercials. And he's all by himself. And it's just like his face is all grimy.
Yeah.
He's hungry. It's fucking sad.
It's real super sad. Super, super sad.
Yeah.
And there's that look, that moment where Jesse realizes that he's somehow responsible for this.
Yeah, I think he does.
You know what I mean? There's like that somehow me doing what I'm doing is causing this kid to live like this, you know?
Yeah. Skylar
Jesse's got the heart, you know?
He does.
Walt might have the brains, but Jesse's got the heart, you know?
Skylar talks to Gretchen about the payments in this episode.
Yeah.
And then Gretchen ends up keeping the secret, but then Walt talks to Gretchen. Walt's a complete dickhead to her.
Yes.
Walt ends up telling Skylar that they can't pay for any more because they're now broke. Like he completely lies about all of this shit. Like he's just more lie. Like all he does is lie to Skylar, which again is crazy because you go back to the original point of this whole show is he is trying to get money because he thinks he's gonna die soon. So he's like, I'm gonna get so much money so Skylar and my 2 kids don't have to worry about it. But he's an asshole to all of them. Like, it's ridiculous.
It's complete like narcissistic like behavior. That's like it's incredibly interesting to watch because there's that moment where like he realizes, and it's like in season 1 where he goes to like talk to Tuco about, and they blow up the room, and he's got Jesse and whatever. When he puts on that hat, and that's the realization that like he's turning into like Heisenberg.
And there's another,
And we haven't talked about like the fact that like the name Heisenberg is more predominant in this season than it was in season 1.
There's a lot of it. Yeah. And there's a scene coming up later in the season that I think really sums up what Walt's going through as well. This is also then ultimately the meth head mom kills the meth head dad with the safe.
Keeps calling her a skank, so she drops the ATM on his head.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Episode 7 called Negro y Azul, which 4 years of Spanish will tell you black and blue.
There you go.
It opens with this bizarre music video with Danny Trejo in it. It's like really weird. It's like a video all about Heisenberg. It's very weird. But this is the episode where you get Danny Trejo or Tortuga, which is pretty awesome. Walt also meets Jane for the first time.
Yes.
And this is another episode in which Jesse wants to quit. Another example of where Jesse wants out.
Yep. After that, after seeing what he saw,
after the ATM thing, he's a mess. We also meet Ted Beneke in this episode. Ted Beneke. Ultimately, Danny Trejo ends up with he's dead, and his head is put on a turtle.
Yep. Which then explodes.
Right, and they're all making fun of Hank because Hank goes because this is promotion, so they're down there, and he's about to get sick, and they're all laughing at Hank, and Hank runs away because he's about to throw up, and then it blows off a guy's leg, and it's just the most fucked up thing ever. Jesse does get a flat screen, and then this episode ends with Jane grabbing Jesse's hand as they're sitting in like lawn chairs. So they're about to become like
they're an item.
Episode 8, Ryan, is entitled Better Call Saul.
And this is there's the whole turning point here where like I love the addition of this character because you need something to kind of like, you know, all the problems you think like, why aren't we dealing with this? Like, how are you going to, if you get all this cash, you can't pay for stuff in cash. You can't. Like, how are you going to figure this out?
One of the great like season 2 add-on characters of all time.
And like for the rest of the series.
Yep.
Like this guy becomes
series.
You think he's a clown, but he becomes like integral to the entire story.
Oh, he's here. Yeah, without him, I don't know where they go. I mean, he's just a great addition. And so this episode opens with Badger sitting on a bench, and the bench behind him is an ad for Better Call Saul. And then so the cop, played by DJ Qualls, the skinny fuck from Road Trip, is trying to set up Badger. And Badger basically calls him out that he's a cop, and then he still ends up selling to him.
Because he's super dumb.
And so he gets arrested.
Yep.
The Better Call Saul commercials are outrageous. They show a whole bunch of the commercials, and they're just ridiculous. Jane and Jesse end up banging.
They're hot item here. They're going steady.
You find out that Jane is 18 months clean in recovery.
Right.
You're like,
and that's why her father's kind of a hard ass. And you meet him at this point.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And you're like, don't know if this is going to go well. Mm-hmm. Right. Like at this point where you're like, come on.
Yeah.
But then so Saul ends up representing Badger. So he goes in there and does that. It's funny. Jesse, when he's talking to Walt about Saul, he's like, he's the guy I'd hire. And Walt's like, yeah, no kidding. Because you saw like one of his commercials or whatever. And then this is actually interesting. I didn't realize this after watching like all of Better Call Saul, but this first episode that he's in, Saul tells Walt that his real name is actually McGill.
Yep.
He's like, I'm not like, Saul Goodman's like obviously just like this.
It's other thing, like it brings people in,
Yeah, but he's like, my real name is McGill. I was like, no shit.
Yeah.
And then so they actually the first time they pitched Saul, they were trying to like, get him on their side or whatever, and he turned them down. Like the first sign of like,
told him to get out,
doing like illegal stuff. So then they end up kidnapping him.
And that was a great scene too. He's like, put $1 in my pocket.
Yeah.
Take $1, put it in my pocket. Because now you paid me. I'm your lawyer. I can't tell anybody.
And he's been doing that in Better Call Saul too.
Oh yeah.
And then what's crazy is this. So they end up like, they're like, we need to put somebody in jail. Because he keeps like telling him, he's like, you could always shiv Badger or whatever. Like they're like, we're not killing Badger. So they use this guy they call Jimmy In and Out, who's been in jail for everybody.
It's great.
That's insane.
You pay the guy to go to jail for you.
Yeah. Awesome. And he actually kind of looked like Walter in a little bit.
He kind of did, yeah.
Episode 9 is called 4 Days Out. Saul is crunching the money, laundering the number, like doing all that stuff. And I like that his cut is 17%.
Which is a weird number.
It's a lot, though.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. So this is the episode, the 4 Days Out episode is, to me, one of the ones that is very memorable, even like years later. Because this is the one where Walt and Jesse go out into the middle of nowhere in the RV. They cook for 4 days. And Walt yells at Jesse to get the keys off the table. So he puts the keys in the ignition and it just drains the battery.
It drains the battery. So they have to make the battery. And then there's like a fire. The generator catches on fire. And then Jesse uses their drinking water to put it out. And it's just like such a father-son moment where like the kid's actually, he's trying to help. And he's just fucking making it worse.
Making it worse. And then so they, in the words of the Martian, Matt Damon, they science the shit out of it to get their way out. And one of the great scenes in this is Walt is like coming with these breakthroughs, and like Jesse's like super excited because like they might find a way out. And so he's spinning around this like wire. And so Walt is like, so he's like, what element comes to mind? And Jesse looks at him and goes, wire. He goes, no, copper.
Copper. What element comes to mind? Wire. But then it's Jesse who makes the magnet later on. Who's the idea for the magnet later on?
It is science
bitch.
So Jesse, so at this point, Walt's been like coughing up blood, so he thinks he's definitely gonna die soon. Like he thinks it's definitely elevating. And Jesse says to Walt, like, no matter what happens, like your family will get half, like you will get your share.
Mm-hmm.
Do you
And this is the
think?
moment where like Jesse realizes, because Walt starts coughing up blood in front of Jesse, and he notices like he gets hot and he like opens up like the
Yeah.
suit and he can see like the chemo thing. So now Jesse knows.
Well,
Like
he
this
knew.
is the
No, he knew he had cancer for a while.
I thought this is when he like takes the thing off and he can
No,
see like
he
that's
sniffed.
not this episode.
He sniffed it out in season 1.
Okay.
But this is where he's like, clearly you're dying. But what he sniffs out here is Walt told him, he's like, we got to cook all this because the methylamine is going to go
Right.
bad.
And
And Jesse's like, the methylamine doesn't go bad, does it? And he's
Yeah.
like, you're trying to speed this up.
Yeah.
But my question is, Jesse says he would, if Walt died, he would still give Walt's family half the money.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Walt would do the same for Jesse?
No.
Not that Jesse has a family, but there's no chance.
No shit. No shot. He does it for him.
So this is, to me, I think one of the most telling things of the whole series is at the end of this episode, you find out that Walt is in remission and that like the tumor has shrunk like 80% and he's like actually doing really well. And all of his family has such a positive reaction. And he just kind of like puts his head down.
Yeah. It's like he's disappointed.
He is. He's pissed. And it's because I think before he had nothing to lose. So he could try to do this new life. And if he does well, great. Worst case scenario is what? He's going to die anyway.
He's going to die anyway. So
but now it's like, oh shit. Like I'm probably actually going to live.
And there's like that moment.
But he's in too deep because that guy's going to live, but he's still, he's never for a second thought about not doing this.
If I told you had like 6 months to live, you would want to do everything you've ever wanted to do. And you're not going to leave a dime. Like you're just going to make sure that like I get the most out of this.
Right.
And then like a week to go and you're like, by the way, that's bullshit.
Like you're actually going to be fine. You're like,
yeah. Huh. Like, well, now what do I do? I can't stop because I've I think he likes it too much. Mm-hmm. He's enjoying himself too much that he knows he can't stop.
I think you're right.
So it's such a cool scene.
It is. And then it goes into the next episode, which is number 10. It's entitled Over. And you see that Jesse is legit happy for Walt. Like Walt explains it to him. I think they're having like breakfast or whatever. And he's pumped for him. And it's funny because Walt's been a shithead to Jesse overall. Yes. But Jesse actually likes him. Where again, if the roles were reversed, Walt wouldn't care.
No,
if he was working with Jesse and Jesse was sick and Jesse got good news that he wasn't sick anymore, I don't think Walt would even bat an eye.
No. I think at this point, no. I think maybe later on.
And then so they throw Walt a big party, Skylar does, and all the family stuff is over there. And it's amazing because they're all excited. Skylar's there, Hank's making margaritas, and this speech is outrageous. They go to Walt. Walt goes, when I first got diagnosed, I said, why me? And they're all like, yeah, like they're nodding. Like, yeah.
Yeah, right on.
He goes, and then when I got the news that I was in remission, I said the same thing. And they're like, what?
Like,
Hank goes, inspirational. This is also the episode where Walt keeps feeding his son tequila.
Yeah.
Does not go well. He throws up in the pool.
Yeah, throws up in the pool. Right near the filter, though, which is good.
3 shots, 3 tequila shots. He is 15, and he's probably like 100 pounds.
Yeah.
But that was a quick turnaround.
In quick succession, dude. Those were like back-to-back shots, though. So you got to,
that's true. But this is where you get Walt and Hank are really kind of like,
it's like, what are you doing?
Giving each other the business. He's like, why don't you? He's like, Hank's trying to be nice and trying to like cut him off. And then remember, he covers the cup with his hand, and Walt pours the tequila like over his hand. Yeah. And Hank's like, what are you doing?
And he's like, my son. There's the whole thing. He's like, it's my son. But there's like, he's trying to big dick Hank.
Yeah. Another scene which is crazy is, especially if you know what's going to happen, is if you jump over to Jesse's apartment, he was trying to make Jane breakfast in bed. So he's like in the kitchen and he's like whipping up stuff and he's like got orange juice or whatever. And she comes walking in and Jesse goes, oh, you weren't supposed to wake up. And Jane says, what, like ever? Yeah. Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's good writing right there.
It is good writing. Yeah. And then Jesse's going through like his art. He's got a whole bunch of superheroes, including Rewindo.
There's some bad ones.
She's like, so what does he like travel back in time? He goes, no, he just walks backwards.
Like backwards, bags, fast you can. Backwards, man, backwards.
I can walk fast as you can.
Here's a so Jane worked as like a tattoo artist or something like that, but had no
Yeah,
tattoos. Had no
right.
tattoos, which
But
is you don't do that.
you know what her line was though?
What's that?
Too much of a commitment.
And here's my line. This might be a bit of a hot take, Richard. I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
Both Jesse and Jane, shitty artists. Not great artists.
You didn't like Apology Girl?
I did not like Apology Girl. No.
Not good artists, huh?
No.
So you're telling me right now you wouldn't let Jane give you a tattoo?
I would not.
Would you rather have a bad tattoo or no tattoo?
No tattoo. Let's not get into this now. Yeah.
No, well, we both could speak from experience.
Yes.
So it's just what it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, this is actually I found funny just because of Jessica Jones. But while they're going through the artwork, Jesse says to her, he's like, "What, you never wanted to have a superpower?" Pretty good. A couple years later. So this is actually the episode where Jane's dad debuts.
Yes.
And she pretends like she barely knows Jesse. And that kind of set Jesse off the deep end. Like Jesse didn't like that part.
No, because that's when Apology Girl comes.
Mm-hmm.
So she slipped it under the door.
Skylar and Ted are getting a little bit closer here.
Sure.
Who do you think was more thirsty for the other?
I think Ted was because Ted doesn't give a shit.
No, Ted, yeah, because he's divorced or whatever now.
Yes.
They were both kind of.
Oh, she went there knowing.
Yeah.
You know.
This episode also.
Because doesn't Marie says something to her like, you're working for him again? Didn't he try to make a move on you or something?
Like the Christmas party. And she's like, he apologized, but like clearly.
Yeah.
Well, because there's a theory out there. One of the Keefe conspiracies out there is that Walt Jr. might be like Ted's kid. What do you think?
Lines up.
Probably
looks
does.
like him.
Probably does. This episode also, Walt sees that asshole buying ingredients at like the.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's just like giving him shit.
And it's funny because it's like a guy who's like slapping around like a younger, smaller guy.
Same thing.
Telling him what to do.
It's like the same.
And he's like, "You're an idiot. Like, don't buy this all in one place. Like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And then he's like, the guy's like, "Who the fuck? Like, who the fuck are you?" And he's like,
"Right.
You know who I am," or something like that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Number 11, episode 11 is Mandala, and the little kid on the bicycle shoots and kills Combo.
Or Combo.
I liked Combo.
I like Combo too.
I like Combo a lot.
I didn't like his lip piercing. It bothered me.
Didn't care for that.
Yeah.
And then what's fucked up though is Jesse tells Walt that Combo's dead, and Walt's response is like, "Which one is that?"
Yeah, with who? Yeah.
Not good.
Not good.
So this is sending Jesse down a dark path.
Yeah, not good.
This is also when Saul basically gives them really good advice. Walt and Jesse are sitting with Saul, and Saul's like, "You guys suck at peddling meth." He's like, "You need to figure this out."
Yes.
And then this obviously episode is huge because Jesse's so upset about Combo. He tells Jane that she needs to leave so he can smoke Crystal, and Jane's like, "It doesn't make it better," and he's like, "Yeah, it does." And then so he goes into his room. Jane's about to leave. Then Jane turns around and joins him.
But also, this is a significant episode by who we get now in this episode.
Yes. Your boy.
My boy, Gustavo.
Gus Fring,
which is probably one of the best bad guys
in the
history of television.
We get Los Pollos Hermanos.
Yep.
For the first time.
The 2018 Gentlemen's Club Fantasy Football Team winners, Los Pollos Hermanos, owned by your boy
Rohan Davey.
Yeah.
So this scene is weird. You get it's Ted Beneke's birthday.
Yes.
And he makes Skylar sing happy birthday to him like Marilyn Monroe.
Super weird.
That's weird. In the workplace, you cannot do that anymore.
Cannot do that.
You cannot do that anymore.
Cannot do that. He's like, "Remember you did that for me one time, Skylar?" Yeah, no, can't do that.
So Walt finally gets a meeting with Gus Fring, who didn't want to meet with them at first, but Walt figured out who it was and all that other stuff. And Gus asks him, so Gus doesn't trust the two, basically because he saw Jesse come in high and late.
Yes.
And then so he's the one who asked Walt, he's like, why do you need him? And Walt says, because he does what I say and I can trust him.
But the look on Gus's face, and it's an awesome acting when he's like all smiles and like the restaurant manager, and then he's talking to like his face just goes completely blank.
Amazing. Yeah,
It's awesome.
He's really good. And like when he's doing the stuff like cleaning the tables and like filling up the Cokes and stuff, like it's amazing. Like knowing who he is and like what he's doing is pretty good. You also find out that Ted is breaking rules at work. He's doing like bullshit with like the
cooking the books.
He's cooking classic cooking the books.
Cooking the books. Yep.
So they have 38 pounds of meth.
Yeah.
And they finally get a call. They'll get $1.2 million for 38 pounds of meth.
If it's there in an hour.
Yep.
Right.
He has 1 hour to do it. And oh, by the way, the baby's on the way.
Whew.
Hey, now, what do you do? What do you do?
That's because this is Breaking Bad. It's a tragedy. So like obviously nothing can go right.
Right.
Nothing can go right ever. There always has to be something, you know.
The 12th episode of the season is called Phoenix. Walt misses the birth of his daughter because he's running around trying to get that. Turns out Ted Beneke is the one who drove Skylar to the hospital and was in the room when Walt got there.
Yep. And Walt was not happy about that.
No. And the best too is Jesse calls Walt thinking that he got robbed.
Yes.
But in reality, Walt went to Jesse's and got all the meth out of like his sink. And like Jesse's the one who told him where it was, but he was so high he didn't even know.
He didn't even know. Couldn't wake him up.
So Walt tells
on
Jesse,
that smack.
Yeah. So Walt tells Jesse how much. He actually tells him, which I was a little surprised by. He does tell him how much money they got, but he says he won't give it to him.
Yes, until he gets himself cleaned up, he won't give it to him.
Right. You also get Flynn starts the GoFundMe page.
Yes.
Yeah.
Save Walter White, right?
Yeah. SaveWalterWhite.com. And I also found it interesting because Saul references this a few times about how like Walt's doing all this and yet he can't confide in his wife.
Right.
It just seems like it. I don't know. Like if he could have, it just would have been so much easier. Although the show wouldn't have been as good, but
it wouldn't have been as good.
Like, but it's like, man, like he just
like if I think I have a good enough relationship with my spouse that if I told her why I was doing this, she would disagree with me and tell me to stop, but she would get it.
Yeah, I think so too. You know? I think my wife would be like, especially knowing what's going on. Like it's one thing if I was like just now, I was like, I think I want to get into this. She'd be like,
why?
Like she'd be like, no chance. But if it was like, listen, there's a timetable. Here's what we have for, here's what's in the bank. I think this is what's best. Let's try it. You can't get in trouble for this. I will.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
You can't testify against me. They go through this all later on. Like you can't go to jail because of me. You can't.
And then it's great. So Jesse is telling Jane that he's owed $480, and Jane says, "Man, if somebody owed me $500, I'd be pissed." And then like as he's passing out from like the heroin, he's like, "No, 480,000," and she like loses her mind.
Yep.
But then Jane's dad storms in, and you get all of that stuff.
And then, as mature young adults as they are, their action is to run away. They're gonna get the money and run away.
They wanna get the money. So Jane's the one who calls Walt. So Jane's like, it basically like blackmails him because she knows he's a teacher. And then I also found this interesting. I think for a moment, obviously Walt's pissed at Jesse, and I think Walt is upset, obviously with what's going on, and that he's like, he's such a junkie now. But don't you think part of him is also jealous that he's in a relationship where he could tell Jane? Yeah.
Yep. And
he's like, you told Jane how much money? And Jane's like, yeah, he told me everything.
Yeah, and not only that, but like he knows that like eventually this girl could take him away. And then he's screwed. Yeah. So there's like that jealousy there, but also like, he needs Jesse too. It's like that codependent relationship. And you start to see that now, but you also see now you see what a terrible human being Walter White has become.
Walter White is terrible. And also you see Jane too, like absolutely flip when she's on drugs. And that's what, unfortunately, that's the reality, right? Like but it's a good representation, I think, of that. How like people always talk about like, oh, when so-and-so is sober, they act like this. And then when they're not, you know what I mean?
It's a real thing, man. It's a real thing. And just the highs and lows that come along with that. And like, because when they're doing, obviously one's an upper, one's a downer, but they're doing the meth and they're like, we're going to do all these things and, I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to do this. And then they're like, the crash.
Oh, they're talking about where they're gonna go, and it's great.
Yeah,
because Jesse's like, "Is New Zealand part of Australia?" And Jade goes, "New Zealand is New Zealand."
Like even high, and she's like waving him off. She's like, New Zealand's New Zealand.
No.
Yeah.
Walt ends up meeting Jane's dad in a bar.
Yes.
And like they're just talking or whatever. Walt ends up going back to Jesse's, and this is one of the most pivotal, important scenes in the history of television, and certainly for this show. And because they had set this up throughout the episode with when Jesse got high, Jane made sure that he went on his side. She's like, don't go on your back. When the baby was at the house, they're like, well, don't make sure the baby's not on her stomach, right? Like make sure the baby's on her side or on her back, or not on her back, but like make
on her stomach.
They kept showing that. And then so Walt goes back to Jesse. He tries to wake up Jesse, and while he's doing that, he knocks Jane over on her back. She throws up, chokes on her own vomit, OD's dead.
And he watches her die.
He watches her die. So that's like the famous scene is like he watches her die. But the reality is she wouldn't even have been on her back if he didn't shake Jesse.
Right.
Which I didn't realize until watching it again.
She was on her side.
She was.
And he shook Jesse and she rolled over onto her back.
Yep.
Yeah.
But then he cried. Walt had tears coming down his face. He put his hand over his mouth after the fact.
And it was like he was still not trying to wake Jesse up.
But then every moment after that, watching the show, you're just thinking, when is Jesse going to find out? Will he ever find out?
And this is the moment I stopped rooting for Walter White.
Yep.
I just wanted to see how he was going to fuck up. I stopped rooting for him as a person, and I didn't really care that because at this point, the whole point is like you're rooting for him because he wants to like provide for his family. He's doing the wrong things for the right reason. Now he's not. Now he's just a piece of shit.
Crazy.
And you're waiting for the crash and burn.
I'm with you. All right, let's just rip through this episode. The final episode, episode 13, ABQ, of course, Albuquerque. You get more of the flash forwards. You don't really know it's a plane crash. You're not really sure what's going on. You get the scene where Jesse wakes up. He's trying to revive Jane. This is also the debut of Mike Ehrmantraut,
which is an awesome scene.
Yep.
When he comes storming in and he's like, this is what you say.
I woke
up. I found her that way.
Winston Wolfe.
Yeah.
So then Jesse ends up going to like a drug cave where Walt goes and gets him. Walt gets the surgery that he needs. There's a little bit of a time jump now. They jump ahead like a couple of months, basically. And then Skylar has just had enough, and she wants Walt gone. She gives him 2 days to get out of there. She's so sick of all his lies. She found out about the 2 phones. She found out about Gretchen and Elliot not paying. The lie about him going to see his mother. Like, it all came crashing down.
It was the one he said when he was going into surgery. She's like, hand me your cell phone. He said, which one?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that was like
he was just about to go. Yeah.
Yeah, because they traced the real one. And that wasn't the one that rang. So she caught, and she even called his mom because when he was 4 days cooking with Jesse, he said he was visiting his mom. He wasn't. So she kicks him out of the house. But she's leaving for the weekend. She went to Hank and Marie. So he's at home. And then that's when you get the plane crash. And it's because of Jane's father is like an air traffic control guy.
Yeah.
And they smash planes because he's just like so fried when he gets back to work. And you get the stuffed animal. And so I read this. I thought this was interesting. The titles of the episodes for the 1st, 4th, 10th, and 13th form a sentence which reveal an event that takes place in the season finale. If you add them up, down over Albuquerque. And those are the episodes, too, that all have the opening teaser in black and white with the teddy bear.
Like shit like this, man. It's like this like insane, blows my mind.
Yeah.
And the whole, that's
it's
awesome.
So good. I also read, though, that season 2, more so than the other seasons, they knew from the get-go exactly everything about it. Like, they knew how it was going to end, and it took forever to do it. And Vince Gilligan was like, we didn't do it with the other ones because it was just, like, so much work.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just crazy. But, like, this season, like, they knew every step of the way what they were doing. Like, it might be a perfect season of television.
I think it really is. It's one of the better seasons of this show, which is saying a lot.
Oh yeah, it's a great show. What else jumps out at you as we wrap up here from this season?
I mean, just the writing of this show. Like I said, there's stuff that there's no small details.
Yeah.
Like you said, I mean, we could deep dive into this. We've been at this for over an hour right now, and like we could go even deeper into this. And I'm sorry we can't, honestly, because we didn't really get into the whole stuff with like Hank and Marie and like Marie shoplifting and all that stuff. And like
there
Hank,
wasn't a lot.
like
Yeah.
Hank's kind of losing his mind.
Yeah.
At this point, with the like they PTSD and like he gets promoted and then demoted.
Yeah, he's getting like anxiety too.
He's got like super bad anxiety, and that bubbles up next season. So that even pays off next season when he goes after Jesse. You know, so and he's just circling Jesse. Like he's the whole time he's just circling the two of them. Like anytime something big happens, like Hank's there. Like he's right there the whole time, which makes the reveal. Yeah. When Hank he puts it all together.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah. And so the season basically ends. Jesse's in like rehab, and Saul has Jesse's money, and he'll give it to him when he's clean. Walt is home, but he's also getting kicked out of his home.
Yes.
And like, he just has a new baby and they're trying to get rid of him, but they have Saul. They know Mike. They have their relationship with Gus. And so that's sort of where this is headed, but holy smokes.
And it's great because like I said about Gus Fring, as I itch my leg and go away from the microphone, these like big bads usually last about a season.
Yeah.
And Gus is the next two. So he's in it until season 4, right? He's constantly there. So it's
pretty good. I mean, you add Saul, Gus, and Mike, and then even Jane has like a 6-episode arc where she is so impactful, and she's going to play a role.
Yep.
Like for the rest of Jesse's life, like that.
And Hector Salamanca.
Yeah.
So like all these big characters, like there's no small characters, no small parts here.
So we lost. Who did we lose? We lost Tuco, Combo, and Jane. I think.
And Spooge.
Spooge. All right. Pick of the pods, all of you guys.
Yep.
Speaking of the pick of the pod, Ryan, would you like to kick, receive, defer, or defend a goal?
I will defer.
All right. I will receive this week. And this is one of those times where we do a pick of the pod of something we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
But the Between Two Ferns movie comes out on Netflix this Friday.
I'm so excited.
I can't wait. So we'll talk about that.
I'm going to set it. Yeah. We'll talk about that next week. So
that'll be good.
Talking about something that they dropped a trailer. My pick of the pod will be a trailer for something that comes out next month.
Okay.
And that is season 2 of Castle Rock. Did you watch Castle Rock? It's on Hulu.
No.
So it's based in Castle Rock, Maine. And it's like all the story, like the Stephen King stories like exist in kind of, in one town. And it looks like Derry, obviously. But Bill Skarsgård was in the first season.
Okay.
What's her name? Carrie
Underwood.
No. Carrie, from the movie Carrie.
Sissy Spacek.
Sissy Spacek is in it. And this one actually follows. It's Lizzie Kaplan.
Ooh.
And Tim Robbins are both in it. And Lizzie Kaplan plays Annie Wilkes.
Oh, cool.
From Misery.
Yeah.
So she's like the nurse. So it's happening in the town, and all Stephen King stories happen in one town. It's awesome.
I'll have to give that a go.
So that comes out, I think, October 28th, right around Halloween. So
very nice.
Watch the trailer for Castle Rock.
Right. Next week, we will do Breaking Bad Season 3. And you guys hit us up on Twitter at Dork Podcast and email us dorkpodcast@gmail.com. What do you guys think is the best way to attack these movies or these seasons? We can do episode by episode, or we can just sort of take the general premise from it, the storylines. What do you guys like better as we sort of prepare for El Camino, which comes out, I believe, October 11th.
Let's do it. We could do like best moments, worst moments.
Yeah. All that
stuff like deep dive into like one specific thing, or we can do like this, like glaze over some episodes and not really get too deep into it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I honestly don't know. Like as we were doing this, I wasn't sure if we should have just had like 5 main questions from the season or what, but we can experiment as we'll do the next 3 coming up. You guys can
vary it.
Kick it around.
We're crazy. Yeah.
Rate, review, and subscribe on the iTunes and everywhere else. Tell a friend, tell a dork. You can subscribe on YouTube as well, youtube.com/dork podcast. No Twitch stream. Sadly, it is dead.
It's done. It's done for the time. Well, it's got a do not resuscitate right now.
Ooh, jeez. DNR? Oh,
DNR.
Boy. That's all I got, Ryan.
The worms are their money.
The bones are their dollars.
The bones are their dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want something? Billy me or Billy him?
Both Billy?
No, that's why I'm so fucking confused.